I still believe you're a hero. But you are a hero with holes.
You're a hero with holes. That single line was all it took to completely rattle Paul O'Sullivan. Within seconds, he grabbed his bag and walked out. Now, viewers, let's watch how everything began before it turned into chaos. Stay with me until the very end, because what Sullivan revealed at the end will completely open your eyes.
Any police officer or prosecution official, no matter the rank, is immediately and automatically suspended following being arrested or charged with any offense involving dishonesty. And I'm particular about offense involving dishonesty, because sometimes they might be arrested for drink driving or and I'm not saying that that should be condoned, but it shouldn't stop a person doing it. And then I said, any employee in the CJS, that's the criminal justice system, convicted of any offense involving dishonesty should be automatically dismissed. And that would require a change in the legislation. Then I'm also saying probative tests should be carried out on all candidates for senior appointments in the criminal justice system. There's no probative tests being done. If they did probative tests, Masamolo wouldn't be chief of police today. Pashlani would have never been chief of police. You know, they need to do these probative tests. And I'm saying we need to develop the law in South Africa, the common law offense of abuse of public office, because it is a common law offense. There's no act. So it's a common law offense. Believe it or not, there's lots of offences which are common law, and they've been developed through trials and appeals and stuff like that. It's time we woke up in South Africa and developed the common law offence of abuse of public office. Because overseas, if you abuse public office, you go to prison. In this country, you get nothing. You might get fired if you're unlucky. But the chances are you can abuse your office and carry on working. And then, if you start sending people to prison for abusing public office, it's going to send out a very clear signal. And I think I also said that, and it's probably not mentioned here, or was it an operation that was going to take place? And it gave the absolute impression to me, when I looked at the presentation that he did, it gave the absolute impression to me that he was creating a red herring for the criminal activity that goes on in crime intelligence. And I think that is a fact, and it can be proven, and it will unroll when we see the criminal trial taking place of the 5 generals and 2 brigadiers from crime intelligence, because I believe what he was effectively doing, and I have no axe to grind for any of the generals in the police, whether it's Sabia or whoever. I have no axe to grind. But the reality of it, that media conference was not only dishonest, it was divisive. And it was intended to distract attention away from what's been going on in the police in KZN.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. 2 more questions. The one is, can you confirm how you...
As I mentioned in the last, I don't know if you call it a meeting, I suppose you call it a meeting, but in the last session, I mentioned that I have a relationship with Shadrach Sabia, and it's purely a professional relationship. I mentioned that I don't even know where he lives. I've never had a restaurant meal with him. He did attend, while he was working at Joburg City Council, he did attend a braai, a Christmas braai. Feroz Khan, I know of. I've had several meetings with him. I'm not sure what he does now because I haven't seen him for a while, but at one stage he was involved in crime intelligence in Gauteng. And it appeared to me at one stage, and I didn't get this from the horse's mouth, so neither of them said anything negative about the other to me, but it appeared to me at one stage that there was some kind of a fallout or toxicity between them, but it's only from what I read in the media. So, first of all, It's not a case of getting paid by him, because that's now following another narrative. But I've got a
No, let me,
I've
let
got
me
a-
s-
I've got a-
apologies.
I've got a-
No, let me say it right. I don't want to create a misperception. We started doing business or working
Yes.
for him.
So, I've got a timeline here. So, a criminal case was opened against various parties, one of which was Zunaid Motti in 2011. And we, that's my forensic practice, we were hired by a chap by the name of Naeem Kassim. In those days, my practice was called Paul O'Sullivan Associates. It's now called O'Sullivan Brosnan and Associates. And between late 2011 and, you can say, probably mid or early 2013, I was under the impression that Motti and some of his associates had a case to answer in respect of a case of attempted murder, where a Mercedes motor vehicle with Naeem Kassim in it had left, what do you call it where they gamble, a casino on the West Rand, and on his way home to Harderbeersport, he was ambushed. And we followed up on that ambush, and we were able to draw a link between certain individuals that were involved in the ambush and Mr. Zunaid Motti. So a docket was opened, and as a result of that docket, a number of people were arrested, one of which included Zunaid Motti. And then what happened in August 2013, the state, and I've got the name down here, in fact we know her today as Advocate Andrea Johnson. At that time she was Deputy Director or in the office of North Gauteng. I think she reported under the Director of Prosecutions in North Gauteng. She made a decision not to proceed against Motti. And she did that, and there was a kind of a 2-year period there. She did that after his lawyers made representations. And I was then supplied, because we were lobbying for all of them to be prosecuted, and I was then supplied with a copy of that representation. And when I saw the representation, it made common sense, because it just happened that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I'm not defending him on that. But then what happened in 2014, which is the next year, I terminated the relationship with Naeem Kassim. And the reason there were 2 reasons I terminated the relationship. The first reason, he hadn't paid his fees. He told me he was short of cash, and he gave me an envelope full of post-dated checks. And when we started putting the post-dated checks through the bank, they all bounced. So I then went to him and I said, listen, your checks are bouncing. And then what we found out was he had been committing the offense of extortion. He had tried to manipulate a settlement, a civil settlement, on the alleged criminal charges against Zunaid Motti. And the amount he wanted was 100 million rand to make the case go away. So I said, we're not prepared to be involved in anything of that nature, and your checks are bouncing. So I then issued a summons against him, and I terminated the mandate. And as a result of issuing that summons, I got judgment. And the judgment was taken on the 5th of February 2015 against Naeem Kassim in the amount of 1,543,505 rand and 7 cents. Of unpaid fees based on the bounced checks, plus interest and legal costs. So we have that judgment. I can show it to you. So that was kind of the end of all that. And then what happened, I didn't go knocking on the door of Motti and said, now I'm going to be your friend. I had invested in...
I will not move from that based on evidence. So I still believe you're a hero, but you are a hero with holes. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can say that you only do things right. And I want to use my few minutes to say that I also still believe that because of your race as a white man and because of the system of apartheid that governed our country at the time, you had some benefit because of that, because that's systematic. And that contributed to some of the excess that you have received during that time. You've benefited from apartheid like every other white person has, but you used it to sacrifice and serve the country and fight against crime. I want to conclude with something that I believe in. I want to read something for you out of the Bible to make my point, and then I conclude. Ephesians chapter number 6, verse number 14. It says, put on the full armor of God. But then it comes in verse 14 and says, put on the breastplate of righteousness. The NIV says, in place. The reason why the words in place in the NIV is added is because there's the righteousness of God and then there's self-righteousness. So your breastplate of righteousness can be out of place, exposing your heart. When you come across in public as arrogant, as disrespecting authority, you run the risk of all the good work that you've done, all the righteous works that you've done, you run the risk of that display of arrogance and disrespect for authority. You run the risk of people losing sight of the good work that you've done. And that is the caution. Put your breastplate of righteousness in place so that it doesn't elevate self to make it look like you look down on others. I thank you, Chair.
So much. Do you have any comment you want to make?
Chairman, nobody's, as the member mentioned, nobody's perfect in life. And the times at which I may have appeared to be arrogant, there would be times when perhaps I was arrogant. And that was because, Chairman, when you are fighting evil, you can't turn the other cheek. You have to confront it face on. And it's no good being Mr. Nice Guy when you're fighting evil. And when you've got senior police officers, and it's included in my statement, issuing public statements that I'm going to be arrested for this and that and charged with this and that and that. What must I do? Sit and apologize? I come out fighting. And I come out, and it'll be somewhere in that book, and I can't quote it as well as the member does, but somewhere in that book you come out with a sharp sword and you fight back. And if you sow the wind, so you shall reap the whirlwind. And that's the point I was trying to make to some of these people that attacked me unlawfully. And I don't care about the title of hero or anything like that. I care about trying to achieve what I set out to do, which is to unwrap the corruption, the high levels of corruption in this country. And if we can crack that, we have a great country to live in.
Okay. I must give the senior counsel now.
We're going to run out of
2
time.
minutes.
Thank you, Chair. What I'm saying, Chair, we should not be misled here. The interpretation of what we played here is not what the witness is telling us. And the witness must withdraw. He can't call us, this parliament, we are crooks. Yeah. And we must kiss his ass. It cannot be allowed, Chair. You can't just leave him like that. We cannot be undermined by a settler.
Thank you. Honorable James.
Thank you, Chairperson. No, I concur with Honorable Skosana here, because this witness before us always seems to be in people's backsides with all his insults. He even told Moti to get the Vaseline ready, and today you are telling us that we must lick your ass. I think you owes us an apology. And then also just a clarity-seeking question. When you said that Action SA was formed of criminality, I need you to explain what you mean by that.
Okay. Honorable Ngola.
No, thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm also worried about the kind of S that we are instructed to kiss. What kind of S is that? I mean, that actually requires a serious apology. And I see he's laughing. He thinks we're playing. He thinks we're playing here. He's laughing. It's not a joke. What kind of S is that we're instructed to kiss? He must withdraw now and apologize officially.
Mr.
Thank you.
Paul O'Sullivan.
Chairman, everything has to be placed in context. And if one wants to analyze the whole of that interview, you will see, Chairman, that allegations were being made by members of this committee or the parties representing members of this committee. Allegations were being made about my integrity. And it was in response to that I made that comment. And if you take the whole interview and you place it in that context, it's not something that requires an apology. However, in the interest of peace, I withdraw the comment and I apologize most humbly. And I will retract that statement.
Thank you.
Good journalists, they give you news. I guess we are talking about your Marian, who's the Marian Tam, Karen Morgan, Passon, the Stratcom journalists who are misleading you. But let's start here, Mr. O'Sullivan. Are you the same Paul O'Sullivan who was born on February 17, 1953, or you were born in August 1955?
Chairman, I was born on the 26th of August, 1955.
Thank you. Now,
Sorry, let me finish.
no, I'm fine. Remember,
but
we are responding on me.
What I cannot accept is a 30-second question or 10-second question preceded by a 5-minute lecture where you defame me. I have never, ever lectured. I was asked a question and I answered the question. That's not a lecture.
No, you were,
And I think
you were
we
lecturing
really
us.
we really need to keep our decorum here. Because
Yeah,
if you're going to sit there and defame me and lecture me, I will respond accordingly.
No, I will as well. I mean, you made an interview on NCA. You said that we must lick our asses. You said that on NCA, you using your language.
Sorry, I said what?
We must lick our asses.
I must eat your what?
You must hear again. I think those hearing devices are not doing justice to you. You said on NCA that we must lick our asses.
Eat your asses.
Lick our asses.
Who said that?
You.
Rubbish.
Yeah, let me tell you, for maybe you've forgotten. We are going to play that video here.
Okay.
Yes. I think we'll play it at the end. I can tell you now, you are going even not to disclose. You said as well, when you wrote, to say that you don't want to be interviewed by MK Party, EFF, and Action SA. Am I right?
Chairman, those were, shall we call it, interactions that took place before I decided to come and testify. And those interactions were supposed to point out that, by the way, I'm not happy to be interrogated by people who belong to a party formed from what I consider to be a criminal syndicate.
Yeah, now, hence I'm saying that your attitude, the way you behave like, you are talking to your, I'm not sure, I don't even say to your workers. We are members of parliament here. Every 400 member in this house is a member of parliament. You can't dictate who you want to speak to. You can't say to us that we are not capable of getting and probing you like any other witness. We are not a special person here.
Now, I don't know what your question, you're making statements. Chairman, the reality of the situation is the MKP went on record before I came here to give evidence, insulting me and defaming me. So, whatever they may do in this house, they have privilege for. But what they don't have privilege for is insulting me and defaming me on social media, and they become experts at it. And the reason they're doing it is because, and this is the reason why I've asked the Madlanger Commission to investigate certain members of this committee for actually being involved in protecting criminals in the criminal justice system.
Chair, I'm going to say this. Paul O'Sullivan has been doing this for many years. And as members of Parliament, what we are telling me now, you are telling about members of the MK, I don't know where, or members of this Parliament. You must give me a name and not just cast aspersion. You must say who has done so here. But be that as it may, I'm going to start now. You went to Czech Republic with Brigadier Giniza. Is it true?
I went with Brigadier Gninda and a prosecutor. I can't remember the name of the prosecutor now.
Who paid for that trip?
I paid for the trip.
Does, don't you think that's you are interfering with the work of the police?
Definitely not. In fact, I can explain it. And when you get there, no, what you're not going to do, and I've warned you about this before.
No, Chair.
You're not going to make
Chair,
allegations and
Chair,
not allow me to answer.
Chair.
I'm not going to complete my answer
Chair.
like this. The
Chair.
Chairman,
I haven't said anything.
the inference is, he's trying to make an inference that it was
Chair.
improper. And I want to give an explanation, and I will give that explanation, Chairman.
Chair,
Wait, both.
with your indulgence, I've asked a question.
No,
I
wait,
need an
wait.
answer, period.
My answer is very simple.
Wait, both of you.
Thank
Wait, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. Wait, Honorable Skosana. You know, the two of you had a frenetic start. The manner in which your conversation started, it started with sparks flying. And it can never be a way to sustain a conversation. It can't be. Can you calm down? Both of you, calm down and have a conversation. He asked you a question about Brigadier Gninda, and is it Brigadier or General Gninda? Yes, and somebody, you said you paid for them.
And then I was told, do you not think this is interfering in the work of the police?
Yeah, no,
and that's what I'm responding Chairman.
No, then there was a follow-up question, because we are also investigating.
Going to leave.
With
If he
all
leaves
due
here, he's
respect,
walking out. He's
I'm
not
sorry.
going to leave until you release him. He's
Chairman, I
walking
made it
out of
clear.
parliament.
Yes.
Chair, he cannot be allowed. He's doing the same thing with Patoi. You can't leave here. We are appearing before us.
Unfortunately, I made it
We don't
clear.
care about your flight.
Thank you.
You're not being released here. You must be arrested. We'll open a case now.
Pardon?
We'll open a case now. This man must not be allowed to go out of this country.
I did not come here on a summons. I came here of my own free will, and I'm leaving of my own free will.
He can go.
Mr. O'Sullivan.
The question that I had for him is,
Mr. O'Sullivan.
he wanted, it's, no, Chair, it's
Mr.
fine.
Mr. O'Sullivan.
I told him. It's fine. Chair, it's fine. Chair, it's, I think we've dealt with the question.
Righteousness. Yes.